If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Alex White, and this is Sports by the Book live at the South Point Hotel and Casino. Happy Halloween Eve. It is Wednesday, October 30th. I'm going to switch it up a little bit today instead of waiting till the end to thank everybody in studio. We're going to start off by introducing everybody that we have here helping us with this show. We've got Sean, Ryan, Vincent, and Ann. If you are watching live, we appreciate you. Please hit the subscribe button and jump in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. We will answer any questions to the best of our ability. Saving the best for last, to my left, the co-host. Let me introduce the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, for our daily life lesson or sports lesson. What do you have for us today?
Well, thanks, Alex. Glad to be here. You know, I learned something yesterday that I didn't know. And I learned, you have to learn every day. And if you think you know it all, you're in a lot of trouble. That Kevin DuBrow was the lead guitarist of Quiet Riot. And he passed away, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago. He was young, rock and roller, into drugs and alcohol. But I heard the name DuBrow, and I thought, I watch Housewives of Beverly Hills and Botched. And Terry DuBrow is a plastic surgeon and a really nice guy. I love the show. So I looked it up. Are they related? And yes, they are related. They were brothers. It was amazing that a family has a famous rock and roller and a famous plastic surgeon in the same family. And I would have loved to have seen Kevin DuBrow perform with Quiet Riot, but you can here in Vegas. They are at, I think they're at the Silverton. So I think they're in town. They've got maybe a residency or so very interesting. Quiet Riot here in town, heavy metal band. But that was interesting to me. I learned that yesterday. And I also learned Freddie Freeman is hit a home run in 6 straight World Series games.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. Just to jump in with that, Imagine Dragons lead singer is from Vegas, Dan Reynolds. He also has 2 brothers that are surgeons here in Las Vegas. So very weird coincidence there with surgeons and
rock stars.
Yes. But successful families, And to your other point, Freddie Freeman, just incredible, right? What he is doing here in the postseason.
Yeah, you get into a zone hitting wise. You get into a zone in a lot of sports where you're hitting 3-pointers in basketball, golf, just hitting amazing shots. Freddie Freeman is in one of those zones right now that you just can't pitch to him.
Paolo Banchero comes to mind because he had a 50-point game for Orlando Magic, and he talked after about just being in the zone, not even worrying about how many points he had, and he just kept going, and he was feeling good. So
I get in the zone in cornhole every once in a while. We're like 3 in a row I get in, and it's like feel like I'm in a zone, and then all of a sudden, hold on, I forget where I was at, and I can't even hit the board.
Yeah, well, when these guys are playing their sports, there's probably no alcoholic beverages involved, and maybe a little bit with cornhole. So it could impact you there.
That does a little bit.
Well, on today's show, we will talk about today's action for the first 30 minutes. We've got Game 5 in the World Series. I was rooting for the Yankees, hoping we would see this matchup today. We get Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees for their best effort here to push it to a Game 6. We also have NBA and NHL. That'll be in the first half of the show. When we come back from our break, we have 2 college football games to talk about, and then 3 requests from some people in the chat that I'm really looking forward to talking about those games. So let's get started with Major League Baseball. Big win for the Yankees, 11-4. And now Garrett Cole is on the mound against a really good Jack Flaherty, who we know struggled a little bit for the Dodgers, but he was in mid-season, postseason form in the last game against the Yankees. It was tied 1-1 going into the 10th inning with this pitching duel. A home run for the Yankees in the top of the 10th, and then, of course, that grand slam to put the Dodgers over in Game 1. What do you see happening here in this pitching matchup?
I'm pulled in 2 different directions for the game because I did bet the Dodgers here in this game. I thought the price was too high. Garrett Cole, $1.45 now favorite. You can get plus 135 on the Dodgers with Jack Flaherty. You mentioned he's above average big league starter, and he pitched great in Game 1. He's a veteran, and the Dodgers saved all of their best relievers for tonight. They're well set up where the Yankees are not. Garrett Cole's going to have to give them 7, I think, tonight. He's going to have to get them and they're not going to have a closer. And again, no Nestor Cortez. That was a really bad move, not getting him in that game yesterday. I know that it would have been taking a chance, but I think you should have gotten him in the 9th. They put up a bunch of runs in the bottom of the 8th. That they should have put him in at that time because they could really use him. He could be a good middle relief guy for them, but they didn't do that. So we know there'll be no Weaver tonight. They have no closer. Holmes pitched as well. Smith pitched again. Dodgers have a big advantage in the bullpen, so they're going to have to put up a lot of runs early and let Garrett Cole, pitch this thing out to, 7, maybe even 8 innings tonight. So
you're torn between the price and the price just being wrong here, $1.43, and then that closeout game that you talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I'm torn between. I'd love to see this series go 7 games. 2004, the Red Sox down 3-0 in the American League Championship Series to get to the World Series, up against their hated rival, the Yankees, won 4 in a row and got to the World Series. A good friend, Jack Franzi, who Chris Andrews knows very well, cousins. Jack bet the MGM at 75-1. He had the Red Sox to sweep this. 75-1, the price was. He bet it.
For the reverse sweep?
No,
when they came back?
Yeah, to win the last 4, 75-1 to win the last 4 games. You think about a 14 parlay pays 10-1. He was getting 75-1, and he won. And when he went to cash the ticket, they said, you got 2 choices. Just relinquish the ticket and you can keep betting here, or cash the ticket and you can never bet here again.
Wow.
I said, I'll take the money.
Wow. There's some other books I can go to.
Yeah, so... incredible that a book would have, that type of gall to. They put the number up. It's not his fault that he won the bet. It's their fault that they put a bad number up.
Very interesting, too. The first year ever that the NBA Finals, NHL Finals, and now the World Series all started 3-0. Of course, we know NBA, it was a gentleman's sweep. Boston beat Dallas 4-1. We know the Edmonton Oilers went on an incredible run to force a Game 7, but the Florida Panthers ultimately ended up winning the Stanley Cup. And now here we are. Can the Yankees do it? Can they try and get back in this series? So total sitting here at 8. It's actually the lowest total we've had in a few nights or a few games here between these 2.
Yeah, I'm in at 9. 2 of the best offenses in baseball. I just can't make it any lower than that. The ballpark averages 8.5 runs a game. So... and you got the 2 best lineups. I know we have really good pitching, but again, they're not Garrett Cole's really good pitcher. He's a top 30 guy. He's not a top 10 big league pitcher right now at this time of his career. He's a top 30 guy, and Jack Flaherty is a top 50 guy. So you're not seeing the best, the cream of the crop. You're seeing really good pitchers, but they're not the best against these lineups. And the Yankees bullpen, if they do get to Cole and knock him out, could be a big night for the Dodgers. If you like the Dodgers, probably should bet Dodgers and over in a parlay.
Or we do have some prop bets here at the South Point. I was looking at the reverse run line. Dodgers -1.5 is plus 210. Ryan also just had up the exacted numbers here. Dodgers in 5 games, plus 133. In 6, plus 180. Dodgers in 7, 5-1. And then Yankees in 7, plus 650.
Now, the easiest number to make on that was the Dodgers in 5, what the price should be. Because we know it's the game, whatever the game price is, that's the Dodgers in 5 price on that prop. But again, I'm torn because I'd love to see the series continue. I would love for this to go 7 games. So the Yankees to win 3 in a row and go to a game 7, that would be amazing. And who would that be in game 7? Game 7, that would be back to Clark Schmidt and Walker Buehler.
Wow.
I thought about Buehler when I put this together, and I thought he's pitching game 7. If he pitched really well in game 3, could Walker Buehler end up being the MVP?
Wow.
Impossible, though, now. Doesn't matter if he throws a no-hitter in game 7. Freddie Freeman's getting the MVP.
Yes.
That's a lock.
I wish I knew what his number was going into this series. I don't even really remember.
Freddie Freeman's?
Yeah, I don't remember looking at his name. But
with the ankle injury and Ohtani was the favorite. Judge was up there. Betts is up there.
Yep.
I would say you probably could have
Soto.
gotten between 12 to 15 to 1 on Freddie Freeman.
Just incredible what we've seen from him. Should be a really good game. I know I want you to win your money, but I would like to see this series extended as well. I was excited for Garrett Cole to get another shot on the mound. He did have an outstanding performance in game 1. I was shocked they didn't go with him yesterday, but you said he didn't have that full 3 days rest.
He had 3 days. They won 4.
They want 4. So it was tough. Good win for them. They got their offense going.
Pitchers used to pitch on 3 days rest, and they have in the World Series before, but they knew they had to win more than that one game yesterday.
Right.
So they'd rather let's see if we can get by without him, and then if we do win, now we have him on full rest.
Let's go ahead and move on to NBA. There are some injuries. I know that you have those for us, so we can kind of go through these games. If you want to skip any, just let me know. But we'll start at the top with the Atlanta Hawks and Washington Wizards. Here at the South Point, the Hawks 4-point favorite in this one. 4.5-point favorite now in this one. Total 233.5.
Yeah, I made it a little higher. The total. I made it 237.5. And my cross-reference line that I come up with from offense, defensive efficiency, and pace from both teams came out to 238.5. So this is definitely going to be an up-tempo game. They both run. Hawks are averaging 103 possessions, Washington 104, and the Hawks have gone over 4 straight times. There'll be no Kyle Kuzma tonight for Washington. He's worth 1 point. He was worth a couple more points than that earlier in his career, but he's getting to be a veteran now, Kyle Kuzma. So there's some guys in the league that are on Washington are just as good. I only made the line Hawks 1 in this game. You're laying points. If you're betting the Hawks, you're laying points on the road with a below average basketball team. I
don't think they have covered a spread yet this year. I know that you have a streak 0-4 and so that's a tough one there to lay the points. There's the next one, rotation number here. Los Angeles Lakers going to Cleveland. The Cavs are the favorite in this one, -4.5, total 226.5. But really, I mean, Cleveland 4-0, sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference now with Boston, and the Lakers 3-1, and that game almost went to overtime. Their last game against the Suns. So this should be a really good matchup between these two. Anything jump out to you in this one?
Well, it's LeBron's return to Cleveland, and when he does, this is such a big game on the schedule for him. I wanted to look and see what they did last year. That did not come up. Well, L.A. Yeah, there they are. Lakers won last year in Cleveland, 121-115. That doesn't bode well for my totals. I like the game under. I made Cleveland 7 and 214.5. It did come down from 226 to 224.5. It has been bet my way. Cleveland's defense I love. I have them rated one of the highest defensive teams in the NBA, and the Lakers play solid defense as well. And both about an average pace, about 99 possessions apiece.
Is this with Cleveland having a little bit of an overrun? Is it just the beginning of the season, not really playing their best defense just yet? And, it's a long season, and then they kind of, because, we saw at the end of last year, they were by far one of the best defenses.
Well, they're on a great offensive run that they scored 136 at Toronto. 113-101 in their only home game so far. So that game did go over because that total was so much lower. But then at Washington, who I just talked about, runs 135-116. And then at New York, who doesn't really play a lot of defense, that game went under, was 110-104. So again, there's been two games that they played at 114.
Okay.
The Lakers have been over because the Lakers have played, it's all who you play and when you play them. And you look at the Lakers schedule, they've played the Suns twice so far, who run up and down the court, Sacramento, who runs, and Minnesota, who's another really offensive team.
Well, so there it is, 226.5.
Did it go up?
Like the under in this one. That's what we have right now here at the South Point.
Because it was 226 and then was bet down. 220. I have 225 right now at the South Point. It could be. I should reload my screen. Maybe my numbers are locked in from when I left my house.
Yes.
On the way. So I'll reload it and see if that'll give an update.
Okay, we are seeing 226.5 here on our end. So yeah, we are getting the hook there between these two. Three more that I have on the rundown that I do want to hit, and then if you have any more that you want to jump in. But Boston at Indiana, this is a revenge spot for the Pacers, who lost to the Celtics in the playoffs. Boston -6.5 on the road. Total 235.5. It is incredible to see the Celtics. It's the same starting five that we just saw win the championship. They're looking like they are on pace to do it again, as long as there are no injuries. We know that's the toughest part about these long schedules and these long seasons for the NBA. But revenge, is this enough to jump in here and take the 6.5 with Indiana?
Even without revenge, I like the Pacers, but we have to make sure Miles Turner is playing. Isaiah Jackson would be his backup at center. If Turner didn't play, he's worth 3 points to the betting line. This game's been sitting at 7, has not moved. I have a feeling that the 7 is based off of how good the Celtics have played, but Indiana's a really good basketball team, and I think that they'll be right there with them. Halliburton, Nebhart, and Naismith make a great, 1-2-3 guard to small forward punch, and then Siakam, we know, has the experience of a championship in Toronto, and then Miles Turner in the middle, a great rim protector. So this is a good basketball team. I can't believe they're getting 7 points at home from anybody. I don't care if it is the Celtics. I just hope Miles Turner plays. 7
only available at Circa now. It has moved down at most shops, so it is just 6.5. So we need to shop around and get the best of the number, right?
Well, that tells me that Miles Turner's probably playing. That if that number's coming down to 6.5, that means somebody got the word that Turner's going to play. Let's take the 7. So, I would you search for a 7 if you can find it, but it's 6.5. I would take the 6.5 with the revenge factor with Miles Turner in the lineup. 235.5.
Is this an over game between these two? Because Pacers, their pace has to be pretty fast, right?
It hasn't been. It's only been a 98, and as is the Celtics. They're a 98 pace. They're both a little on the slow side, kind of surprising. But they do both play good defense. The Pacers' offense has not clicked on all cylinders like it was last year. They were on a record pace to break the organization's scoring record for a team, and they just fell short of that record last year.
Good to hear that they are playing good defense, because that was their weakness last year as well. They were kind of just trying to outscore everybody, and that didn't pan out in the end in the postseason.
Yeah, the Celtics are just dominating offensively. Right now, they're scoring efficiency, 127 points per 100 possessions. That's just ridiculous. But they're on the road against a really good team. They won their first 4 games of the year. I think this is a game that they could lose this game. I really am kind of shocked that we're getting this many points with a good basketball team with that playoff revenge.
Keeping it in the Eastern Conference, New York Knicks at Miami. 2 really good teams that we saw in the postseason last year did not face each other, but they were both in the postseason. The Knicks -1.5 on the road, total 215.5. Very low total, might be the lowest of the day. Anything for you in this one?
I made it pick in 214, and I both coaches I really like, Tom Thibodeau, but Thibodeau was a defensive coach with the Bulls and really has lost his way defensively. I feel like when he was at Minnesota and now at the Knicks, they just don't play that great of defense. I know you're going to get that out of Eric Spoelstra and his team. So I would have loved to have taken 3. There's no 3s. It's down to 1.5. I think that's the right move, but no, nothing for me in that game. And the numbers from the early season, and this is still small sample size, these teams have played 3-4 games, crunching the numbers from what they've done so far, Miami 0.5 and 219.
San Antonio Spurs on the road playing a good young Oklahoma City team. They are getting 12.5 in this one here at the South Point, total 220. Are you jumping in on the Spurs plus the points? Yeah,
I am. I'm a big Spurs fan this year because I think this team is just a tremendous basketball team. I'm there, and no one thinks they're going to win 40 games, but I think they are because of Wembanyama. I think a key to this game, though, betting it, is Jalen Williams, the center for Oklahoma City, is out, and he is a big part of this basketball team. He's their power forward, plays right along with Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
But offensively and defensively, he's a stud. It's a drop-off without him in the lineup of 4 points, so that's big to me. That was enough to make a play for me. I didn't have a play in the game if Williams was in. I would have made it 11.5, but now I have it 7.5. And I do like the game over. When you got a guy like Williams, who's such a good defensive player, not in the lineup, that really helps. And I think this game will be a up-tempo game by both sides.
The Thunder, quite a shock last year, getting the 1 seed in the West, and now here they are again, sitting at the top 3-0 so far this year. So we'll see if they can keep it going this year with SGA and Chet, as you mentioned. But 12.5 points is a lot for this Spurs team.
A lot of points. And I think it'll be a little bit more up-tempo. Well, I know it's going to be up-tempo. Oklahoma City plays as fast as anybody in the NBA. They run like crazy. And San Antonio's got a young team. They have no problem. Wembanyama can get up and down the court. So I think they'll run with them.
I'm going to throw one more at you that I just added in, but it is a little intriguing as well because I just brought up Orlando Magic, and I know I say his name wrong. Is it Paulo Banchero, right?
Banchero? Paulo
Banchero. Okay, Banchero. Having an outstanding season. We know him well. We saw him when he was in college.
Yeah, with Duke.
Yep, and he beat North Carolina. We were on the Tar Heels in that game. But Orlando -5.5 against the Chicago Bulls, 229.5. What'd you make this game?
I have the Magic, the favorite on the road, 2.5, 218.5. So I'm looking at the dog. I haven't bet it, but I did bet the game under 228.5. I thought this was a little high. Orlando's playing good defense, and they're really not running. Now, the Bulls are running, and that's the reason the total is so high. They've been the fastest team in the NBA so far, but offensive efficiency has not been good. We talk about that in football, that, some of the teams that are playing fast, they're just not efficient offensively. Teams that take their time are more efficient. So you're not getting the scoring out of the Bulls that you would think you'd be getting.
So a game like this that opened lower and then the steam did go up. I mean, at times you got to trust the bookmakers too, right? And the bettors aren't always correct.
No, they're not. That's why the books are still in business. And you're right. And, but it's not, you can't just make a bet blindly on what's going on in the book. You want to see what the numbers are doing. And the book wins because the number went up, but they were able to attract some money maybe on the dog, more on the dog, and not move the number back. They may need the same side as the first person who bet that game. So you don't know what they're doing behind the counter too.
It is very intriguing, especially a lot of people do just try to blindly bet with the steam or against the steam. So.
But you don't know what the book needs.
Right.
Because if somebody laid 5 on this game for 2 dimes and they moved it to 5.5, they could take 10 dimes back at 5.5. Just leave it there till they get the amount of money that they want to get on the dog in that game. So it all depends on who bet them. Smart bookmakers use the information from the people who bet them.
There's a few more NBA games, but I'm not going to run through all of them unless any jump out. I am going to switch it over and talk a little bit of hockey unless something jumps out to you. But so we do like the Spurs getting the 12.5 points against the Thunder, the under in the Cavs and the Lakers, correct?
Correct. Cavs, Lakers under 220. Well, it's 226.5, you said here now.
Yes. A little bit of revenge for the Pacers at home hosting the Boston Celtics, taking the points with them.
Yep. I love the Pacers. So we got a couple nice dogs and a couple of nice unders on the card today for the NBA. Under in, what was the other under in the Chicago-Orlando game?
Yes.
I like under because of Orlando's defense. The one over I like is Oklahoma City because they play fast, and I think they'll put up points. And we just hope San Antonio hangs around close enough and has to put up points to stay in the game. So that's the only over.
That's the only over. Yesterday in the NBA, just 4 games. Dogs were 3-1 ATS and totals 3-1 to the over. We're going to transition over to NHL. Dogs in hockey 4-3 yesterday and 4-2-1 to the over. So a lot of scoring going on right now in the NHL. It was 6-2 the night before. So what is that? 10-4-1 to the over in the last 2 nights. So there is an over that really jumps out to me in today's games. Tampa Bay Lightning, Colorado Avalanche. Both of these teams putting a lot of goals in the net and not playing great defense, or maybe not the best goaltending in the Avalanche's case. So 6.5 here. It is juiced to the over a little bit, but I did bet this over for Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado tonight.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Backup goalie as well for Colorado tonight, which helps that number. But these are 2 really good offensive teams, and you're right, the goaltending for Colorado has been below average. So I'm total agreement with you there. You can get over 6.5. I think minus a dime at some spots, over or minus 15. But yeah, I like it. These teams go back and forth, and scoring has been up in the NHL so far.
Yes, it has. Let's talk about some back-to-back situational spots. New York Islanders playing on a back-to-back. Now they are traveling to Columbus against the Blue Jackets. I think this number is a little bit too high here on the Islanders, who've not been the normal feisty defensive Islanders that we know. They're minus 130 on the road, total 6.5. So I lean to taking that plus money here with Columbus.
Yeah, I don't have a difference on the side, but I do on the total. I only made this total 6, and I like it under the 6.5. You do got to lay $1.20, but I think it's a pretty decent goalie matchup with Merzlikins, and Varlamov.
You could just call him Elvis.
Yeah, Elvis would be either Semyon versus Elvis in that game. So yeah, I would be under there.
Winnipeg Jets. We talked about this before the show. A lot of bettors like the Jets in this spot. They are now $1.60 on the road, opened $1.40. Playing in Detroit against the Red Wings. Total in this one is 6 as well. We did get.
I think that game that's way too high. That price, and we bet Winnipeg the other day. They were 8-0. They lost
to Toronto.
Is this betting on Winnipeg because they lost a game? When you lose a game like that, it's a good chance you could lose another one because you kind of lost your focus a little bit, and you're kind of relieved that the streak's over with. You know what? But Detroit's a good young hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they battle them in this game. I think that's a good price taking the Red Wings tonight.
I agree. And Alex Lyon has been a very good goaltender for the Red Wings. So plus 140, I'm with you. I think that price is up. I actually have this game at Pick'em. So that's very intriguing there with those two. San Jose, they did get their second win in a row
Yes,
yesterday.
They did. See,
so
I mean, that's how those streaks run. And that was a big price on them. Said that's the only way you could bet that game is by betting San Jose.
Last game for me, unless you want to talk about any of the other two on the board, but Vegas Golden Knights going to LA. This is another back-to-back spot here for the Kings. They did lose last night. Vegas, a pretty big favorite on the road, as they should be. They're playing great hockey. Minus 125 here at the South Point. So bettors did like that plus money with the Kings. The total 6 in this one. Now, the Knights have been much better at home, but things are really clicking for them. So kind of lean to the Knights here in this one.
Yeah, I agree. Coming off a great game by Aiden Hill and the team with the shutout on the road here. Kings have been good, but the Knights have been much better, and I think they finally figure it out on the road. It's not that far of a road trip as well. This is kind of home away from home in LA for them. So, yeah, put me down for the Golden Knights to win tonight.
Just to talk about the lines here, Calgary at Utah. The Hockey Club minus 120 at home, total 6 over minus 115. And then New Jersey Devils in Vancouver, the Canucks minus 120, total 6.5 flat in that one. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it's all college football. 2 college football games on the board tonight. And then we have 3 requests that we cannot wait to go over. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Sports by the Book at the South Point studio. Nobody really flinched when I said Happy Halloween Eve earlier, but is that not a thing?
I thought about it. That's what I was going to ask. Is that a thing? But I would say yes, it is, because, well, people have been doing Halloween parties for 10 days now. So everybody loves Halloween.
Do you have any plans for Halloween?
No, just giving out candy and crunching numbers on college basketball, because that starts next week.
Which are you more excited about, men's or women's this year?
I'm more excited about women's by far. Not even going to be close.
Okay. I'm looking forward to college basketball season. It's a lot of fun.
I sent you those sheets. Did you print those 6 sheets out? Did you talk about them on Punchlines?
No, we just talked about the top 5, and then it was short and sweet little segment there. But I did print out the sheets to go over.
Did you see the ratings of the Notre Dame players?
I didn't.
Oh my gosh, they have one heck of a basketball team this year. Notre Dame does, women's team. Yeah, they're a really good basketball team.
Wow. Is there futures out that we should be looking at already?
Yeah, there's futures on this to win it all.
Sure, South Carolina is the favorite, defending champions there. Thank you, everybody who is in the chat. Dean Hilt, A. Gold, and Vince. Anybody else that wants to jump in? Quiet chat this morning, but ask any questions if you have any questions for us. And let me know if Halloween Eve is a thing or if I just made that up. But let's go to some college football. We've got 2 games tonight. One of them is sneaky good in the Conference USA. And then we're going to talk about the 3 games if you were not here yesterday. Our 3 games we'll talk about today: Arizona, UCF, Penn State hosting Ohio State, and then Indiana taking on Michigan State, trying to stay undefeated. So those are our 3 games that we will break down. I guess we could call it our big game breakdown here on Wednesdays. But first, tonight, Jacksonville State playing against Liberty. Liberty coming off a horrendous upset against Kennesaw State. Jacksonville State getting 2 points in this one, total 64. So let's start off just kind of breaking down the coaches. We got Rich Rodriguez on one side for Jacksonville State and Jamie Chamwell for Liberty. Let's talk about the coaches first.
Rich Rod, I've talked about him a lot because of Conference USA playing these Tuesday, Wednesday games. So we've had a chance to talk about him, and he's a coach that will run scores up. So when you got a coach that runs scores up, it'll run their power rating up as well, because you're winning games while the other team is, kind of thrown in the towel, raise the white flag, and the game is over and they're still scoring points. And he did that against Kennesaw State. He did that against New Mexico State. He might have done it against Middle Tennessee State. They won 42-20, and I know he scored the last touchdown of that game. But they've got a good team. Their quarterback, Tyler Huff, is a very accurate passer and an excellent running quarterback. So he's good. Jamie Caldwell, 13-1 last year for Liberty. They were expecting big things out of Liberty, and he was at Coastal Carolina for 5 years before that. So he's well established. Both these guys are solid head football coaches. Looks
like the bettors do like the favorite in this one. It opened -1.5, quickly went to 2, then 2.5, and then that was the buyback point, and bettors took the 2.5 with Jacksonville State. But you kind of mentioned it about him running up the scores, and that could influence your power rating. I did make Jacksonville State -1. I have not touched this number because I liked yours a lot better, and I think I might be on the wrong side and maybe a little bit too high on them. Also, Liberty coming off of that unexpected loss, I have a feeling that Chamo will have his team ready to go in this.
Liberty has had a strange year because of the cancellation against App State.
And you talked about that last week, that they had only played 1 game in a month, and you didn't like
I did not like them again. I thought Kennesaw State had not won a game yet. They've never won a FBS game. They're the second worst team in college football, and they pull off the upset 27-24. It shows you anybody can beat anybody on any given day. I believe Liberty was over a 20-point favorite on the road in that game.
Right.
If they were to play tomorrow, you still have to make Liberty 20. Yeah. They would be much more well prepared for that game. They were looking ahead to this game against Jacksonville State. They knew this was the big game for the Conference USA Championship, and they can still win the Conference USA Championship with a win tonight. But they got to get better quarterback play from Caden Slater, their starting quarterback. He has thrown 10 touchdowns to just 2 INTs, but Liberty has struggled 1-5 ATS. And they played the weakest schedule in college football. Jacksonville State's played the 123rd ranked schedule, so neither team has played a good schedule. I have both teams' offenses rated way better than their defenses. Their offenses are top 40. Their defenses are around 100.
Wow. So 64 feels like a high number, and that's right where I have mine. But you like the over. You made it higher than this?
Yeah, I made it 74.5. I think these teams go back and forth. Beautiful weather tonight. They both do like to run the football, but Jacksonville State plays very fast.
Yes.
Liberty plays an average pace. They don't play slow and methodical. They're not trying to run the clock out and shorten the game. They think they're the better team. When Jacksonville State plays this fast, I think Liberty will play that type of game because Jacksonville State's defense is going to be worn out. And I think both offenses dominate tonight in this one.
I'm glad that you did bring up the defenses too, because one note that definitely stood out to me is in that Kennesaw loss, they allowed 9.5 yards per pass to Kennesaw State, who you just mentioned is the second worst FBS football team. So I do think that Jacksonville State will find success through the air as well.
They're allowing, on average, 24 points a game. Liberty is against the worst schedule in football. Now they're playing the 42nd best offense. They're giving up 38 tonight, and they're going to be in the game. So it's going to be, both teams are scoring in the 30s in this football game.
Looks like there are some 63.5s out there if you want to shop around and get the best number. But here at the South Point, 64. We're both on the over in that one. Let's go to Western Kentucky, the next best team in Conference USA, hosting Kennesaw State. Big number here, laying 24 if you like the favorite. Total a little bit lower. We've got a 49 in this one.
Western Kentucky, led by Tyson Helton, their head coach. He's in his 6th year now. He has established himself. He is a very, very solid football coach, and they have covered 6 straight games. They're now 6-1 ATS. Kennesaw State, biggest win in program history, the win over Liberty, last game out. That was their first win of the year. They are 1-6 straight up and 2-5 ATS. And their schedule, they played the 101st best schedule. Western Kentucky, the 96th. They played the same type of schedule so far. Western Kentucky, far better team. But I couldn't make the number as high as it is on the betting board. I made it 16.5, and it's 24.
Wow. Kennesaw State is a run-first team, running 62% of their offensive snaps. That's 15th most. David Bryson is their starting quarterback. I did find out one little nugget, though, I will share. Brian Bohannon, 10th year here at Kennesaw State, he has 2 sons that play on the team, one wide receiver and then one of the backup quarterbacks, Blake Bohannon.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, you mentioned the quarterback, Davis Bryson. Stats are all well below average. 56% completions, 6.1 yards a pass, 3 touchdowns, 6 INTs. Western Kentucky should dominate this game. I just can't play it because the number's so high, and I don't like to bet favorites. Kennesaw State has played their best 2 games, the last 2 games. The win against Liberty, and on the road at Middle Tennessee State, they lost 14-5. That was I think it was a bad weather game, a little windy that night there, but still, that was their best 2 games. They're 5-2 to the under this year, and Western Kentucky 4-3 to the under. But their coach, Tyson Helton, is an offensive guy, loves to throw the ball, loves to play fast. He could end up running up scores because his offense is so good. His quarterback, Veldkamp, has played great this year in relief of TJ Finley, the starter, who's out for the year. Veldkamp stepped in and thrown 70% completions, 14 TDs. This offense can score points, and they can score points fast. They're going to put up a big number tonight. They could put up 40, so it scares me on the total. It has come down. I only made the total 47.5, but man, looking at this, what I'm thinking right now, Western Kentucky at home could put up a big number here.
You were torn last week in the Liberty and the Kennesaw State game because you were like, Liberty's only played 1 game in the last month. Maybe we could, but we kind of like the under in the game. Maybe we can take Kennesaw State under. I think this is the game to take Kennesaw State team total under. Looking at the way they play, slow, 29.9 seconds per play, run the ball. I mean, I guess if they are playing from behind, they're going to have to try and throw it more. But
Western Kentucky's defense is very good, too, and that's why they're undefeated in Conference USA. They have the best defense of any Conference USA team.
Okay, that's good to know. We'll have to look out and see what kind of number we can get there instead of going full game under because Western Kentucky could put up some points.
Yep, I like that.
Let's go to our 3 games that were requested. I'm excited to talk about this one, even though on the surface doesn't look like a great game. Arizona Wildcats just 3-5 this year, 1-4 in the Big 12. UCF 3-5, 1-4 in the Big 12. Disappointing years for both of these teams. Question marks about Brent Brennan, who came over from San Jose State, head coach first year at Arizona. Things are not really clicking for them there right now. They're definitely missing Jed Fish and that 10-3 year they finished last year with Noah Fafita. Haven't seen the same numbers from him. I'm talking about Arizona Wildcats here. Quarterback for them. They've dropped significantly, completing 60% of his passes, 7.2 yards per pass, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Last year, he finished 2023 completing 72% of his passes, 8.6 yards per pass, 25 touchdowns, and just 6 INTs. So it has definitely been a struggle there for the Wildcats. But same with UCF, and we've seen them struggle to try and find their starting quarterback. KJ Jefferson was benched after the Florida game, went with a freshman against Cincinnati, and then ended up taking him out right away. So they have like 4 guys to decide from. Along with that, big news now going for UCF. Defensive coordinator was fired, and they handed over the offensive play calling to Tim Harris Jr. So what do you make out of all of that I kind of just threw at you?
Yeah, no, that's great information. Knowing the defensive coordinator is fired. Remember, I talk about that. When somebody's fired in a company, no matter where it is, everyone wakes up. And everyone does a much better job. People are on time, they stay late, and they really are focusing on their job. So Central Florida players, I think, will be much better in this game. Also, we've seen in the NFL where Kevin Stefanski gave up the play calling duties to Ken Dorsey, the Browns offense got better. I think you're going to see Central Florida's offense get better. The problem is KJ Jefferson was their best quarterback by far. Ja'Cory Brown is their number 2 guy. It was a 3-point drop-off, but then it's another 3-point drop-off to Dylan Rizk. Risk, I guess it's R-I-Z-K, Risk. And Risk wasn't bad against BYU, 6 for 10, 102 yards and a touchdown. It probably was a long pass. He had a 40-yard completion, I believe, to Jacoby Jones for a touchdown is why he ran up kind of really those numbers. It worries me that the quarterback play is below average right now at Central Florida. Arizona has been a mess, as you mentioned. Brent Brennan takes over there after a stint at San Jose State, 7 years there at San Jose State. And I didn't pull my book out. I wanted to go back and look, and I know he improved San Jose State.
He did. I have his overall record, though.
No, it's 34 and 49.
Yes,
yeah, I have that. But you're 15 games under 500, but I guarantee he was probably 2 and 10 his first 2 years, and he was 18 games under 500. He had to be well above 500 the last 3 years.
Last 4 years, he had 3 7-win seasons of the last 4.
So he took San Jose bowling in a program that hadn't been. And we know that Kenny Magliulo took over the job, and they're really having a good year at San Jose this year. So Brent Brennan had a full cupboard of players for Niumatalolo to take over with.
Correct.
So he did a really good job with that program. He can recruit. So we know he's going to recruit here at Arizona. He's going to bring in players. It just maybe things are not meshing. I have a 111 rating on them, meaning 11 points better than average college football team. Their performance rating has been a 109. I made this game UCF 7. I don't like it. I think it's a little too high because of the quarterback play. If KJ Jefferson was playing, and he was playing well, and Tim Harris is now calling the plays, the defense is going to be flying around because of the new defensive coordinator. I would say maybe Central Florida is the play, but I think I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines watching this game and not betting it. Yeah,
I don't blame you at all, but I do lean to UCF with all of those changes, and I actually listened to the press conference of Gus Malzahn, and he said it's just a different time right now in college football, and I love calling the plays. I just can't handle all of it right now. I kind of need to take a step back and, have more say on all 3 facets of the game. So I do like that, and maybe he's in his own way right now and can't see who the best quarterback is. So look out for news if KJ Jefferson is going to play, and I believe they're still debating because it was EJ. Where's his name? EJ Colson, who they tried to play against Cincinnati, freshman. Now they're still debating he might use his red shirt. So that would probably be in the best interest of this team that's probably not going to make it. They're just trying to make a bowl game right now with the record that they have, right? That's the new goal.
Yeah, 3-5 right now. Yes, that they need 3 more wins for a bowl game. And Arizona's in the same boat at 3-5. They're trying to get that bowl game. It's a game that both these teams have talented players. It's just putting it all together.
So watch and see. I can't remember who did request that game, but that's the best that we have. As much information as we could give you, but no play in that game for Jay Lee, who requested that game. But Number 13, Indiana Hoosiers undefeated, 8-0, 5-0 in the Big Ten, going to Michigan State. Michigan State 4-4, 2-3 in Big Ten play. The Spartans have been surprisingly better than expected. I believe they were projected pretty low in the Big Ten going into this year. At the South Point, Indiana, 8-point favorite. Open 6 at Circa, was one-way traffic, and then it did open 8 here, though, at the South Point. Two really good coaches. I mean, we have Cignetti that everybody has been talking about coming over from James Madison. What's funny, though, is he brought over a lot of players, right, from James Madison. Yes. On the flip side with Michigan State, Jonathan Smith comes over from Oregon State, brings over a bunch of players and coaches with him. So this should be a pretty good matchup between these two. Are you laying the points here with the Hoosiers and expect them to continue this unbelievable undefeated run?
Well, there's a couple things here that Indiana has revenge. They lost last year at home 24-21 to Michigan State. So I only had Indiana 4 in the game, but I had 2.5 points for that revenge factor. So I am making this game 6. And what did you say the number is here at the South Point? 8?
I believe it is 8.
Yeah, so I really don't. I lean to Michigan State, but that's not enough for me to have an edge. Strength of schedule, Indiana has played the 100th schedule in the country. So not a very good schedule, a well below average schedule that they played. Michigan State's played the 32nd best schedule. They are 3-2 ATS. Jonathan Smith is a really good football coach. He started his career at Boise State under Chris Peterson. He moved with Peterson to Washington. He was an assistant there, quarterbacks coach, was in on the offense, was an OC the last year at Washington before he took this job at Oregon State. When he took the Oregon State job, and he was at Oregon State for 6 years and did great. He's going to make Michigan State. He is going to bring Michigan State to the forefront once again of the Big Ten. Maybe not this year, obviously, but he's a really good coach. So it's hard for me to pass up a coach this good, getting this many points when I know his team has played a tough schedule. I also think, even though there's a revenge factor for Indiana, they could have a letdown after beating Washington with their second string quarterback, Jackson. Rourke is back.
Yes, Rourke is back. And then on the flip side, Aiden Childs has been very good for Michigan State, and he was DJU's backup at Oregon State, and now he's had a pretty decent year here for the Spartans. I think he has thrown quite a few interceptions.
Yeah,
that might be the one problem. But
he's thrown more INTs than he has touchdowns. That is a problem.
That's not good. But they're a run heavy team too, running 54% of the time, play at a slow pace, slow and methodical. So that's kind of been their way of hanging around in these games, right? Good defense, run the football, run out the clock. So it'll be tough to do that against an Indiana team who is right now ranked 6th in total yards offensively. But
yeah, Giles he's a dual threat quarterback. I wanted to look and see. Now, he has been better, as you said, over the last 4 games, he has been better. You know, his touchdown to interception ratio, the first 4 games was 4 TDs, 7 interceptions. Horrible. The last 4 games, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. So he's thrown more touchdowns than interceptions, and he's only thrown 1 pick in the last 3 games, and that was at Oregon, against Iowa, and at Michigan.
Wow. 3
really good football teams. So it looks like Aiden Childs is starting to get the offense. They're starting to take care of the football much better. I think they're in this game. I think it's going to be a closer game than you know, the line indicates. I really do. For some reason, I just think, you know, when you're 8-0 and you start to read your press clippings, because Indiana will start to do that at one point. And who do they play next? That maybe that's even a bigger factor of who Indiana plays. I want to take a look at that real quick.
Okay. Well, we got to be careful. We have not stepped in front of the Indiana train just yet.
No.
I know a lot of people did 2 weeks ago with Nebraska. That was not competitive. A lot of people thought last week was the spot with Washington, and Indiana wins with their second string quarterback. So
4 games left. This one at Michigan State. Then they host Michigan, which is always a big game for them. And then they're at Ohio State, and then home against their biggest rival, Purdue,
wow,
to end the season.
Who's up next? I heard Ohio State.
Michigan.
Oh, Michigan is next.
Michigan is next. But again, that's, it used to be, I guess it's still got to be a big deal that it is Michigan, because Michigan's the bigger name of those two teams. So we know that they will have their eye on that Ohio State-Penn State game, obviously. They're probably hoping that Penn State wins to give Ohio State, a second loss.
Yeah.
Or probably, maybe not. Maybe they're rooting for Ohio State in that game. I'm not sure. Oregon's still 5-0. Indiana and Oregon 5-0, and they do not play each other.
Okay. But that schedule gets a whole lot tougher for the Hoosiers, who you mentioned has not really been tested just yet.
Yeah, well, they played Florida International, Western Illinois, UCLA, who's in a rebuild, Charlotte, Maryland at home, Northwestern on the road. The Nebraska game, they got them at home, and they won the turnover battle by 4 in that game. And then Washington, who's down. So Michigan State's not the greatest team, though, obviously. I only have them ranked the 52nd best team in college football. They have played. Indiana has played. Their last 2 games against Nebraska and Washington, I think both are better than Michigan State. So they are. But I just feel like there's a letdown in reading those press clippings. Indiana players have to be reading about themselves and how good they are right now. So this is on the road and a tough place to play with a very good coach. Chris Peterson was one of the best ever. And Jonathan Smith learned from him. I know Jonathan Smith's going to be a really good coach. He already has been for 6 years at Oregon State.
Not looking for the upset either, just taking the 8 points, and they can keep
stay within it
close.
And I like it that the quarterback is taking care of the football much better. The last 3 games against really good competition.
You know, he was like a 5-star.
Yes, he's a very talented kid.
Yeah,
just hasn't put it together.
51.5 is the total. Anything for you? I have that. I made it 50.5. So
54 for me.
54 for you.
And that's what scoring has been. Scoring is around 55 points a game this year in college football. It's back up after a 4-year decline in scoring. Finally, this year, back up a little bit.
I know our friend JR has been betting Indiana overs, and they are 6-2 to the over this year, looking for Michigan State's number on the year. Do you know that they're over?
Michigan State, yeah, they've gone over the last 2 games against Iowa and Michigan, but for the year they are 4-3 to the under.
Okay,
Michigan State is. Let me tell you, this is what something I just looked at that I wanted to mention, and now I don't know what it is. That's how good I am. Boy, I had something that I thought was a factor, and now it's just
piece of play or anything.
That's exactly what it is. Indiana, you mentioned JR's been betting the overs with Indiana. Now, they went under the last game against Washington. Their defense is very, very good. Yeah. I have their defense rated as high as their offense, both 26th best in the country. But they run the ball 59% of the time. That's Kurt Cignetti. He's a power run conservative football coach. They run it the 31st most of any team in the country, and their pace of play, 28 seconds, is slightly below average. Michigan State plays extremely slow, 30.8 seconds, and they run it 54% of the time. So Jonathan Smith's team, they're going to take their time and shorten the game, and try to shorten it and give themselves a chance to win.
6th lowest for them. They have been pretty good defensively as well, 24th in total yards allowed. But as you mentioned, Indiana, they are ranked 5th right now in total yards allowed. So very good. I wish
that revenge factor wasn't there. I really wish for Indiana it wasn't there. That would really have me over the top on Michigan State in this spot. And I hate to step in front of a team that's playing well and a coach that I really like. And I said at the beginning of the year before any games were played, I really like Indiana because I like that coach and the players he brought in.
And I remember I was talking about that with Michigan State as well, though, and Jonathan Smith, and it taking some time, but him building that program back up.
Yeah, that's very true. But he's played a tougher schedule.
Yeah.
He's played a more difficult schedule. He's already played Ohio State and Oregon and Iowa and Michigan. And
Did they lose the first game against Maryland?
They beat Maryland 27-24.
They were fortunate.
And they lost the turnover battle, -2 that game. So, they haven't really been great turnover-wise, where Indiana has been. Indiana had one bad game. They've only lost the turnover battle once this year, and that was against Maryland, where they've won the turnover battle in 6 of the other 7 games.
Oh.
If this is even in turnovers, it's going to be a close game.
Let's go to the game of the weekend. Number 4, Ohio State going to take on number 3, Penn State. Right now, Ohio State 3.5-point favorite on the road. Total in this one is 45, down from 47. Thank you, Ryan. So quick. We always look at our live numbers there, and it's right there for us on the screen. This is a very, very big game for both of these teams. As you mentioned, Ohio State already has 1 loss to a very good Oregon team who is undefeated. And Penn State comes into this game undefeated, 7-0, 4-0 in Big Ten. Impressive win over Wisconsin. I thought that the Badgers could hang in that one, getting the 6.5. But even with their backup quarterback, Penn State was the right side there. So I made this game a pick, but that is my Drew Aller in number. So we start off there? What is the drop off from Drew Aller to the backup here?
Bo Pribula, who has some experience. Pribula?
Yes.
Pribula? I don't know.
Pribula.
Is it?
Yes, Pribula.
PRI is what I'm looking at. I was thinking but he has some experience, and he obviously had to play last week, but he threw 21 passes last year as a freshman, true freshman. He's a sophomore. Very talented quarterback. He fits the system perfect, but there is a drop-off, and I have a 3-point drop-off between the two guys. So I have Penn State the favorite in the game with Drew Aller, and he's not out officially. He is questionable. I think he may play because it's such a big game. I believe James Franklin is 1-9 versus Ohio State.
That sounds right.
However, Ohio State has been the favorite in almost every one of those games because they've had the better team. They were Urban Meyer had this team clicking on all cylinders, and then Ryan Day took over. They have not dropped off one bit. They've been a top 5 team every year. This is James Franklin's best football team that he has had, and I have them performing at a 1 point higher rate. I would love for Drew Aller to play here and be good, and I think Penn State can pull the upset off in this game. As you said, Ohio State already has a loss. That's not extra motivation. That's a little pressure, I think, that's on Ohio State in this game. I think of all the years of losing, James Franklin finally has the team that he can beat Ohio State.
Ryan confirmed that number was correctly. I do know Ohio State has won 7 consecutive matchups in this rivalry. There is also the factor, though, that Ryan Day has not beaten a top-ranked 5 team. And now here Penn State comes in at number 3 this year. So one of those narratives is going to be quieted between these two. But should be a really good matchup. Will Howard, of course, the upgrade for Ohio State as well at the quarterback position, 9.9 yards per pass so far this year, 17-4 touchdown interception ratio with 5 rushing touchdowns as well. They do also have a lot of potentially NFL players, wide receiver and running back position. Ohio State does have a banged up offensive line, though, so that could come into play here against a very good Penn State defense.
You know, looking at Ryan Day, they've always played a weak schedule at Ohio State. They'd never really step up and play a great preseason schedule. Leading into conference, they played Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall this year, and they won those games by 150-20. 150-20, and then they stepped into, Big Ten play.
Yeah.
But Ryan Day, coming into the year, ATS 19-13 at home, 13-18, a losing ATS record on the road. He's 3-4 ATS this year. He's 1-1 on the road, so 14-19. He has a losing ATS record on the road. James Franklin at home, 37-29 in his home game since he's been at Penn State. So shown a small profit, but at least he has shown a profit where Ryan Day has not overachieved in his road games. And so far this year at home, 1-3 for James Franklin. They have not covered, but they've won. They've done what they've had to do. They've won their games. And again, my performance rating has been a point higher for Penn State than Ohio State. So I like Penn State. I just would rather have Drew Aller because it is a 3-point drop off to Rabula.
Well, it's 3.5 right now. No movement as of right now. It is Wednesday though, so we could see this number move. I like the hook if I'm taking the dog here, and as I mentioned, I made it a pick 'em, so I should take the 3.5 now, right? In case Drew Aller does play.
I don't think
and
it's
this
going.
number moves, or you don't think it's going to move?
I think it'll come back down if Drew Aller plays. I think it'll come back down. You know, you're looking at a top 5 team getting points at home.
Right.
Very rarely does that happen. And I think the pressure's on Ohio State. And Penn State's got that revenge factor. When you've lost 7 games against a team, that's a game you've circled on your calendar. We can't wait for that game. So there's a reason why that Penn State has not covered a lot of spreads, because they may have been looking through a little bit to these games. And
they did cover last week.
They did against a good team. Yeah, I know. I had Wisconsin. I bet Wisconsin. I know they did. Their median score on the year, 30-12, against the 43rd best schedule. Ohio State's median score, 38-7. But the last 2 weeks, they lost to Oregon at Oregon, 32-31, and then they barely got by Nebraska at home, 21-17. So
you just mentioned 32-31, and then we saw Penn State win in overtime. They beat USC by 3. So yes. I just think it's going to be another close game here. Field goal type of game.
I think it is as well. Now, it could be a high-scoring game. Ryan Day has been an overcoach on the road, 19-11, and his road games this year, 1-1.
So glad you brought that up, because the number has dropped. People are betting this under, thinking it's going to be a defensive battle between these two. I made it 48, so it's now that it keeps moving down, I'm waiting for a good time to jump in on that over between these two.
Yeah, talking about the side so much, I didn't even look at my number, but I made it 54.
Okay.
And I definitely have a good overplay there. And looking at, the scores, last year, Ohio State won 20-12. That was under, but it was at Ohio State. The year before that, it was 44-31. The year before that, 33-24. So 2 of the last 3 years it went flying over this total. And we have 2 really good quarterbacks. Well, we hope Drew Aller plays. That will be a big thing. If he plays, it's definitely a better over for me.
I mean, still his backup has been good. And like you said, he has seen some action. Not only that Wisconsin games, he got into a couple other games. His passing completion's pretty high.
He still only has about 40 career pass attempts. So you pressure-packed situation going up against Ohio State will be tough. It was nice that he got some experience on the road last week at Wisconsin, and he played well.
Yes, he did.
Maybe he's that guy. Maybe he's that good, and he's going to be, great. But if he's playing, I think Penn State could get a little more conservative.
Is it odd for college? Franklin said Drew Aller is a game-time decision. That's kind of odd, isn't it? You don't really hear that in college.
No, you do.
It's more of an NFL thing.
No, you do. They want to see how that knee responds. The quarterback for Utah,
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising was a game-time decision, 4 weeks in a row.
I forgot about him, though. Yeah. That was I thought that was a special case for Cam Rising.
No.
It depends on if they've been with the program, and that's what he said, right? He's practiced enough. He knows his offense enough. Right. We will see how the week goes, and it'll be a game-time decision.
And these quarterbacks are getting treatment 3 or 4 times a day, trying to get them back. And so once they get out on the field, like Cam Rising, he stepped onto the field against Oklahoma State, I think, and he was throwing the receivers before the game, and the announcers are going, he has nothing on the football. You could tell there's no way he's playing, but he tried.
Right.
And that's the same thing here. Drew Aller's going to get on the field. He's going to run, he's going to stretch with the team and then start to go through his reps, drop back, footwork, and then throw the football, and he's going to see how that feels. Can I play or not?
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Yep.
So lean into the over, or it is an overplay for you.
Yeah, if Aller doesn't play, I'm taking 3 points off that total.
Okay.
I'm down to 51. I still lean to it, but again, the steam put me on that place. I don't like to bet against the steam in college football. So I like to be on the steam.
Again, thank you everybody for sticking with us. Went over a little bit today, but a lot of fun breaking down those big games that are requested. So we appreciate you guys being active in our chat and requesting games that we can go through. Dean Hilt, A Gold, Vince, thank you again. Overtime.
I put my invoice in already and we went overtime? Come on.
Chris Andrews he already made it very clear we do not get paid for overtime. That's on me. So I guess I owe you a coffee.
No, well, I owe you for today's coffee.
So we're even. Sean, Ryan, Vince, and thank you all so much. Have a great, safe Halloween, everybody. Tomorrow we'll be back. I'll be back Saturday. You'll be back Friday, so
yes,
everybody will see you first.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. And then Jeff Parles, of course, back tomorrow, 9 a.m. And then him and Ryan at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again soon. This is Sports by the Book.